Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is still the morning, but for some of you, you may be missing the caffeine, so I'm going to try and raise the energy levels a little bit and keep your attention for less than 10 minutes. I'll be speaking to you wearing my hat as a member of the steering committee that's putting together Norstec, but it's slightly intimidating to have two of my colleagues sitting alongside me over here, because I may have to answer to them afterwards if they disagree with something I say. So Alistair and Adam, you can help me take the questions afterwards. That's the penance to pay. But just before I put on that hat, wearing the Gamesa one, just to add to Frank's list of the turbines which are available for offshore, the Gamesa turbine is expecting to get its full certification early next year, our brand new offshore turbine, and it will go into zero series beyond that. So please, ladies and gentlemen, add Gamesa to the list which Frank gave you. Right. This is actually more of a commercial break than anything else. I'm not going to tell you that it washes whiter than white, but I hope that you may be incentivized by the end of it to become part of the product development to help us all deliver success out there in what we're trying to do. And what I'm trying to do is to find the down button on this thing. Okay, it works. Quick bit of background, you can all read. I won't go through the slides. Initiative from David Cameron about a year ago. It's been taken forward, enthusiastic group of companies. We had a big launch in the autumn. Many thanks to Statkraft for enabling us to go to Tate Modern, where they were sponsoring a big exhibition. And the membership is growing. I'll put a slide up in a moment, but there are now more than 80 who are signed up, including a wide range of companies. Good to see a wide range of people here. I can see my friends from Anderson Strathern in front of me. It's striking to me to find how many leading legal companies have very strong energy practices. Guys, the lawyers out there, if you haven't signed up, take a look at this one. It's a bit noisy. If you've signed up and your name's not there, please don't blame me. Blame the Secretariat for giving me the slide. But this is the list, and it is growing. And I'm delighted to see that we have representation internationally already. Denmark, Netherlands, Germany are represented there. This is the group that's really trying to get this organization, this fledgling organization, off the ground, moving and really making a useful contribution to what we're all trying to do. You can see that it's pretty representative across the board in terms of manufacturers, developers, finance, and so on and so forth. And there is very strong support from number 10, from the key UK government ministries. So this is the group that's, including, of course, Adam and Alistair, this is the group that's trying to generate this product. And here's why. We've all been hearing about the huge potential that this sector has. Here's the vision for Norstec. This is what we want to achieve, both in terms of energy generation from offshore renewables in Europe's northern seas, and the tapping into the enormous business opportunities that this represents. Just a few dot points here on the scale of the opportunity. And if we get this right, ladies and gentlemen, the scale of the opportunity is huge. It is truly enormous. So there is a real driver to get it right, not just as a business proposition, but also in terms of decarbonization and the really, really important climate change agenda which we all face. We can all argue about the data. I think this is consistent with some of the earlier slides that have gone up. It's a bit historic in terms of the data. It's last year. We're all seeing the projects drifting to the right, so the numbers are probably going to go down a bit, but it gives you a flavor of the very large volumes that we should be being rolled out as projects develop as we move forwards. And this is one of the reasons that Norstec is very focused on an international approach, not just a national approach. More of that from me in a second. We heard a little bit about this earlier on. I mean, there really are challenges. We are seeing an investment hiatus, like it or not, and I'm sure Edward Davey in a moment is going to tell us that there are wonderful things coming through the EMR process, and indeed I absolutely share the view that we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel. We are going to be getting the answers quite soon, but if you're a board, you haven't got the answers yet. You can't take investment decisions. Nobody's really talking about 2014, but there is going to be a referendum. Let's not beat about the bush. This is another uncertainty factor, whatever you may feel about the way that referendum ought to come out. There is very, very little visibility about volumes after 2020. Levy control framework is tremendous, and I pay absolute full tribute to government for having put that in place, but it only takes us to 2020. And we don't know where we're going to be after that. And for companies such as mine, looking at very significant investments, you need to know there's going to be a market for your product well into the 2020s and 2030s, if not beyond that. So there is a real gap which needs to be plugged. And of course, the financing demands for this program are absolutely vast. Investors have got to have confidence. Investors have got to have reassurance that this is a sound bet. Result, order pipelines not coming through as fast as we would like. I think Norstech's got a real role in plugging some of those gaps and putting in place the reassurance, working alongside governments, plural, and the littoral states of the northern seas in order to be able to tackle that. Now, this is where Maria is going to look at me very carefully. It begins with two nots. Our vision is that not that Norstech should be another lobbying organization, another trade organization, absolutely not. We see this as a sort of industry club. In part, this is to avoid organizations facing an invidious choice: do I pay a membership subscription to this, or do I pay a membership subscription to the other, because I'm only allowed one by my board of management. So what we're trying to do is to design a structure which is more on a club basis that brings people together, and the members decide individually, what can I bring to the table? Is it a financial contribution? Is it something in kind? Is it resource time? Is it expertise? Is it facilities? That collectively you generate an organization which is able to really play an important role. Second key point, we're absolutely focused on this, and Alistair will hold me to this very, very carefully. It should not duplicate work which is already being adequately done by other organizations. It should be filling gaps, supplementing if necessary, but it's not a duplicatory organization. We see it as having a really unique approach. We don't see any other organization out there which would have the same sort of structure and do the same sort of things. Northern European in scope. IWEA is all of Europe. This is focused on Europe's northern seas. Very international in nature, covering all marine renewables. We're going to have to start somewhere. The focus initially is going to be with wind, but this is absolutely about all marine renewables. Very much focused on the longer term vision. Every time I go in and talk to Treasury, their modeling is about 2.5 years ahead. We're looking to 2030. Our vision is what's going to deliver for the sector, for countries, through the 2020s, into 2030 and beyond. So it's a longer-term view, and a club which is very inclusive. Those bottom dot points are not an exclusive list, they're just illustrative. There are going to be more. I can see Port of Ardassia down here. It doesn't say ports. You guys, get on board. Let's have you there. It's everybody who has a stake in success of Northern Europe's offshore renewables sector. So there's our goal. So Andrew, we're absolutely up there in the top right-hand quadrant of your slide a moment ago. This is the vision. It's do it, it's get there, it's maximize the value to individual companies and to the nations from this extraordinary strategic resource which is right on our doorstep. And in doing so, build up the kind of skills and competencies which are going to have global application, and as some of the earlier slides showed, will give us a real competitive advantage on that global market. So how are we going to do this? We've got to communicate, we've got to convince people that this really is a goer. We need to identify the conditions necessary to achieve that vision. We need to set about within the club fostering exchanges and cooperation between individual organizations, individual companies, and we need to do this ideally with broad international collaboration. So in practice, drilling down to the nitty-gritty, looking in a much, much shorter time frame, we need to begin in the UK because that's where we have begun, but that's certainly not where we're going to end up. and we want to encourage a much broader range of signatories. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, it ain't going to cost you anything at the moment, and probably not very much as we move forwards. If you haven't signed up, do think about this one. We want to move on to broader contact with some priority groups and organizations internationally. That means outside the UK, effectively across Europe, and to think about what sort of actions, what kind of activities might Norstek undertake to underpin what we want to achieve at a European level. And we want to make the strategic case at European level for why offshore wind really matters and the kind of role that it should be playing and why it should have very strong policy support. So what's next? And this is an even shorter time frame. We are pretty close within the steering committee to decisions on the structure for the organization, the governance arrangements, which are going to be very important. We need a chair. We need somebody to commit time and to be able to drive this forward, to be able to open doors at the necessary level. And the immediate next is in the margins of the Renewable UK Manchester event. I think it's the 13th that we're scheduled for, Maria. Middle of the day-ish, can't exactly remember when. There will be an opportunity for everybody to come and listen. We'll have a big plenary. We want to get your feedback. Tell us if you like what you see. Tell us if you think there should be some amendment to the path that we are pursuing at the moment. And then we need to get on with it. Just a few suggestions as to why this should really be helpful to you. Bottom line is, by becoming part of this, it should enhance your company's, your organization's competitive position vis-a-vis the marketplace. So I hope that's whetted your appetites. Look forward to any questions and to share them with Adam and Alistair. And if you haven't signed up yet, all you need to do is go to www.norstek.org and you will find this form. You can fill it in and your names will be added and you will then become part of this process. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the commercial break from me. Thank you very much for your attention, and I very much hope that you'll look sympathetically at what I've had to say to you today. Thank you very much.